What is up? Twin System recap for Thursday. And, Twins are off. I was hoping that something cool might happen. Some kind of a news item might happen that we could talk about with the Twins. Joking. Obviously, we're going to talk about Willi Castro. Willi Castro, all-star. Willi Castro, the first Sire of Fort Myers to be named an all-star. He replaces Jose Altuve on the American League all-star roster. Much deserving, Willi Castro. Inside the top 30 in all players across MLB, not just American League, inside the top 30 in Fangraphs WAR, just a bit outside of the top 30 in Baseball Reference WAR, accounting for ties. But Willi, getting it done, playing great, playing all over the place too. Like the second player ever to have 20 or more appearances at 5 different positions. I love Willi. And I'm sure you love Willi. If you watch this channel, you love you some Willi. Love the corny little cowboy hat thing. It's in Texas. That's what's going on there, in case you were wondering. I put the guys in the little crown cape and septa for Sire of Fort Myers. Anything we can do to make these guys into even more characters than they are, I'm all about. So I'm loving this little sheriff theme they've got going on with the cowboy hat and the badge. Oh, and then you see the Twins social media shared Willi getting the news from Rocco Baldelli in his hotel room. That's the other picture here. And they asked him, how does he feel? How does he feel? I feel great, but I thought it was something else. I think Willi thought Rocco was there to tell him he's traded. So that's hilarious. Signed as a minor league free agent prior to last season. And now he is an all-star. Awesome. So happy for Willi. Once again, Sire Castro, we raise our glasses, we tip our caps to you. Congratulations, Willi Castro. Moving on to some minor league highlights from this evening's game. And Luke Keaschall, once again, a leadoff home run in this one for the Wind Surge. Did this earlier this week. Probably for me, the Twins minor league player of the year right now. Some other guys have flashed maybe more impressive in smaller samples than him, but he's been out there getting it done, has the best resume in my opinion. Luke Keaschall has just been amazing. Tanner Schobel, thank goodness, what a night for him. It's so good to see. This guy's been struggling. Hits this one out of the stadium. This was a bomb for Tanner Schobel, and that's noteworthy because he did it again in the second inning and the seventh inning. He homers. That's a big deal because Tanner Schobel had 2 home runs in 70 games coming into this game. So 2 home runs in 70 games coming into today. Hits 2 home runs in the same game tonight. It's been a struggle for him, unfortunately. He had a 859 OPS last year with Cedar Rapids. Gets called up to Wichita. He now has, this was his 120th game. Prior to today, he had a 620 OPS and only 4 home runs in 119 AA games. So, it's one game, but he has to be feeling really good. And on the pitching side, we're going to take a look at some Ty Langenberg highlights. Twins' 11th round pick from last year's draft out of Iowa. Gave up a couple runs in the first inning, as you see here, but then managed to keep Beloit at 2 runs through 6 innings pitched. Tough moment here for this guy. I feel bad for him. Langenberg got the call there. In the minors, in the lower minors especially, the umpiring crews are pretty slim. When you have a check swing appeal, that goes to the second base umpire. So they don't get a good look at that. That was a terrible call. Even the Colonel's first baseman was shaking his head. But we'll take it. Langenberg, we don't have the full pitching data for the Colonel's level, but I heard some 94s in there on the broadcast. So he got some help from his defense here going across the horn. Guy tried to steal a base, and they turned a double play in a kind of a sticky situation for Langenberg. With 6 innings, 6 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, 62 of his 83 pitches were strikes. That is a 75% strike percentage. So again, gets through 6 innings, only gives up the 2 runs. I like this guy. He's kind of scooting up my prospect list a little bit, especially for a guy who's a recent 11th round draft pick, not a very high profile guy. But I love the way Langenberg is looking, especially for his profile. And just to call out a Langenberg versus Vredenberg matchup there that he comes out on top of. So bragging rights. Nice. So something I want to do a little bit different tonight is talk about some of these lineups across the minor leagues and some of these names you might not recognize from, drafts or prospect lists. Or there's just been a bunch of guys new to the organization who've been signed out of indie ball. But first, do want to call out that Walker Jenkins was in the lineup for Fort Myers tonight. He had a hit and a walk, I think. He had a couple hits. He got on base a couple times at least. So he had a nice game. They got crushed, though. They gave up like 15 runs. But Rickson Wingrove, the first baseman, he was signed out of indie ball from the Long Island Ducks. He's an Aussie. Spent some time in the Phillies org prior to this, 24 years old. Nick Lucky, another indie ball signing from the Lancaster Stormers. I think they used to be the Barnstormers, but they're just the Stormers now. An undrafted free agent. He is 24 years old. Ryan McCarthy, an indie ball signing from the Schaumburg Bombers. I think they used to be the Schaumburg Flyers. A 25-year-old who has been previously in the Chicago White Sox organization. On over to the Cedar Rapids Colonels. Kevin Maitan, who you saw shaking his head in that Ty Langenberg highlight. A 24-year-old who they signed from the Charleston Dirty Birds. Some of the fun of this is just saying these indie ball team names. If you thought regular minor league team names were odd, there's some really unique ones. Also in the Colonels lineup, Kyle Hess, a 25-year-old former Lancaster Stormer as well, who is an undrafted free agent. Up in Double-A, newer guy to the org, Tyler Dearden was just promoted. I think he was making his Wichita debut, 26 years old, signed from the Long Island Ducks. He had previously been in Boston's organization for a little bit. Should also call out, among these guys, not this year, but Carson McCusker. Last year was signed out of indie ball. He played for the Tri-City Valley Cats for parts of 3 different seasons. Carson McCusker did. So he had to play indie ball for a while to get noticed finally. And then a new guy in AAA's, Winton Bernard, a 33-year-old who has 12 MLB games with the Colorado Rockies under his belt. Was with Chicago's AAA team up until recently. He had a 774 OPS, so he's not an indie ball. Well, he did play indie ball. not that he hadn't played indie ball previously. I think maybe 2019 or around there I saw. But he wasn't. They didn't sign him out of indie ball. He got released by the White Sox for whatever reason. He had a 774 OPS from AAA, but 33 years old. So some veteran presence coming over through all of these guys. But the big headlining guy, I would say, out of this group of players right now is Payton Eeles. Super fun player. You see, he's all the way up with the Saints, which is exciting to see. 5'7". But he is hitting the crap out of the ball. He's hitting for some power. He's got a 958 OPS across 3 levels since signing with the Twins out of... Where was he? South Maryland Blue Crabs was the indie ball team he was playing with. An undrafted free agent, one of Nick Lucky's teammates in college from Coastal Carolina. So both of those guys went undrafted out of Coastal Carolina, and they're both in the Twins org now. But Payton Eeles, all the way up to AAA. There's been a lot of movement and the roster rules changed in the minor leagues, and I think that has kind of impacted the way things have gone. But the Twins, for whatever reason this year, and all teams kind of go to dip into indie ball, and the Twins have in the past. Again, we talked about McCusker. There's plenty of other guys throughout the years, but it seems like there is a lot of indie ball guys that they signed this year all of a sudden, especially on the hitting side. There are some names on the pitching side that they've gotten from that as well. Probably most famously Randy Dobnak, of course. That's an explanation of some of these names kind of coming out of nowhere. A lot of them have been signed recently too. So just kind of wanted to run through some of those names. Back on to tonight's info from across the minor leagues. Here you see all the rundown info. Again, Ty Langenberg, 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, no homers. Louis Varland had a much better start than he's been having lately. He's really struggled for the Saints, but 5 2/3 shutout innings for Varland today. Travis Adams, who has been pitching better of late, didn't have a very good start this evening, unfortunately. On the hitting side, fairly quiet across the system. The Wind Surge did have a nice game. Jorel Ortega homered as well, in addition to Schobel hitting 2 and Keaschall hitting 1 out. So that was nice to see. Ricardo Olivar just kind of keeps chugging along. He's sitting over 300. He's got a 400 OBP. He's got a 900 OPS. Anyway, here are the results. Again, Twins were off. Colonels were the only team that won. Thanks for checking this out. We'll talk again soon.